Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching today's episode
Mhm.
of the Future Podcast.
Welcome.
This is episode 29.
Yeah, baby.
I'm about to hit that 30 milestone. Very
Yep.
excited about that.
Very excited.
But yeah, it's just welcome to the fun podcast where we talk everything because
And just basically anything.
we like to
Anything to
talk.
make us entertained and y'all as well.
So if you've been following along, you know that this is our director series.
Mm-hmm.
Today's an edition of that with Martin Scorsese.
I mean,
I said his name last episode, so I kind of gave it away
yeah, but
unintentionally. But hey,
maybe that gave some of y'all some time to do some homework and go, well, maybe I can look this guy up and see what kind of movies he's done and
see what there
kind of
is.
look around, get a heads up on the episode. Maybe we can do that from time to time if it slips.
Hey,
We took a little bit of a break since the last episode, but weather here has been up and down and
cold. Yeah,
yeah, a little bit cold.
very.
But we're back, and I'm excited about this episode. He's one of my favorite directors. He really
He's
is.
got some bangers, as they would say these days. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like no matter what generation, your generation, mine, the new one, there's a little bit of everything because he kind of evolves with the time.
He's done a very good job of that. Yeah.
I enjoy it. For example, his very first two movies,
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Taxi Driver and Raging Bull.
You can start that off right back to back. Yeah.
It's like, you look at Taxi Driver, you have Robert De Niro, iconic look with the mohawk.
You talking to me?
You talking to me?
Are
And
you
it's
talking
like,
to me?
you are the main character. So.
Yeah. You're the only one in the room, so I must be talking to you.
But it's just a great way to show us not only him, but De Niro, just his abilities that he can have on
Yeah.
screen.
And that's one of those, and you see it from time to time, and it's great when you see it carry out through both people's careers. But when you see an actor and a director, just they click, and it works
And
every time.
You look at what they did together.
I mean, we're gonna go through the playlist now. We're not gonna do every single Scorsese movie because, let's face it, the man is a legend. He's a living legend, icon, still going. I hope we get one more out of him. And just the simple fact is, to go over his entire anthology would take 2 episodes, really. And to say it nicely, I think a lot of his films are very much more specific to demographics. I think what we're going to hit on are the big hitters, the heavy hitters, the ones he's most known for,
That everybody's heard or watched.
and our particular favorites, which, I mean, my whole
My
list
whole
are my
list, yeah.
favorites. I just, he does not make a bad movie.
It's so damn good. I just love his work, like you were just explaining. It's hard to name a bad one.
But Taxi Driver, I mean, it was iconic. Great first start for him, really breaking in. And, I mean, he'd done a couple movies before that. But this one really showed the length he was going to go to get a story across, to push his actors to really get that grittiness, that reality, and out of a character. I think people legit thought De Niro might be a little bit crazy after watching Taxi Driver.
Because he's nuts in that one.
There's a lot of movies that come up with De Niro where he doesn't really help that case, but
No, he doesn't. Not at all.
to start their relationship off making Taxi Driver like that, it's an iconic movie. It's so well quoted. You talking to me, I mean, that's just...
Everybody quotes that now.
Yeah.
Decades after it's come out, which it just shows simple things really do.
Yeah.
If they're done at the right time, right moment,
Yeah.
actor portrays it right. Something so simple. Look at Arnold, Terminator.
Yeah.
The smallest lines are always the best.
Tell
So
the big roid freak, act like a robot. Okay.
it's like, wow, memes. But yeah.
Yeah.
Love Taxi Driver, Raging Bull. Also, we see De Niro, boxing, everything like that. Sports
Yeah.
movies are very tricky,
Mm-hmm.
especially at that time. It's not really well heard of to go out there and shoot your way out
No, and
with sports.
back then you pretty much just, you boxed.
So,
And you tried not to hit each other very hard. And then when you talk to Pesci and De Niro and the actors in that movie, and when the boxing happening, it's like, yeah, you're just kind of hoping you don't knock each other out, because Scorsese, and there's a couple other movies where that's going to come up again, where he's like, yeah, this whole, being this far away, it's just with the camera, it's
It
not
doesn't
right.
work. It doesn't work.
How about you try taking a punch for real? Let's see what that looks like on camera. And he's very good at talking them into it. And the next thing you know,
They're getting hit in the face.
they're just beating the crap out of each other. But
Look at what
it
came of it.
helps. I mean, look what happened. I mean, you made an instant classic.
I mean, yeah, it's like you said, it's just brutal seeing them get hit like that and how
Yeah.
messed up they got. Because back then, most of these boxers knew, like, I'm just fighting to fight. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get medical attention after this.
No.
I just want to beat the shit out of some dude because he got nothing else to do.
Back then, you're going to get a scotch and a cigarette after the boxing match. And
Hope it closes.
yeah, you'll be all right. Go home to your wife. Take it out on her.
Pretty much.
It was the 1950s, and that's pretty much what they did.
Unfortunately. But that one shows De Niro again, just
Yeah.
adds on to the crazy list.
But it also shows that they clicked so well in Taxi Driver. It was, he clearly, Martin Scorsese sensed something in De Niro. Like, I want to keep working with this guy as many times as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And Raging Bull hit it right there. After that, come out with The King of Comedy. A lot of people may or may not know that one. It is very brash, strange, dark comedy. There again, De Niro.
Yep.
He's back in the fold again. 3 movies straight with De Niro. And it's a cult classic more than it is an iconic classic.
Yeah.
Something that he's going to be fondly remembered by because, well, I mean, look at what else he's made. But
Other ones, yeah.
King of Comedy's good. I won't dive into it too much. I just remember watching that at a young age because it came out the same year I was born, and just kind of being around movies like that at a young age, and not knowing why I would remember it, but always want to watch it again as I was getting older, and it was just nostalgia for myself. But it
I
was a
see
good
what you
one.
mean. Yeah, there's definitely a few of those on here.
Yeah.
My next one on the list, mine's in no order per usual. I mean, y'all know this. I'm the worst at keeping it in order. But I had Goodfellas on there.
Yeah.
I mean, iconic in itself.
Oh, I just watched that. Well, we just watched
The
it
other
a couple
day.
days ago.
Yeah. There's a channel on TV that likes to play a lot of those movies.
Oh, yeah.
And I always catch it. I'm either catching the end, the middle, or the beginning. It's always random. It's different every time, so put
But
it
it's
together.
still good. It doesn't matter.
It's still pretty good. It's a great one. I mean, I love mafia movies.
Yeah.
Just to show how powerful just a simple family was. And it's insane.
Well, and I just love Martin Scorsese, going into the whole let's do true stories, things that actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
But the everyday person may not know these stories.
Yeah.
And let's make it known just how powerful a mafia really is. A lot of people don't understand that. We have close ties, we understand, we've heard stories.
It's crazy.
We know the reality that when people say they would run a small town, like they ran the town.
Everything goes.
They could kill somebody in the middle of the street in broad daylight and nothing would happen to them.
Clean it up. And it's just insane.
And to watch a movie like Goodfellas is a great textbook on what really happens, and it's all true. It's all based on real people.
To talk about how he's growing up.
Yeah.
And you just hear like the evolution of the mafia to what one person
Yeah.
that actually knows what's going on, what happens.
And great cast. I mean, you got, there again, De Niro,
Mm-hmm.
Pesci, and then we bring in the great Ray Liotta, rest in peace.
Yes.
One of my favorite actors, very underrated.
Those three in that movie.
But I absolutely think Ray Liotta just put out one of the best performances of any actor of any time, in my opinion, with this movie.
He made you believe it.
To see what his character went through as Henry Hill, dealing with the mafia, being paranoid of not knowing if you're ever going to get whacked just because they'll whack you.
Just because they can.
They think you're a rat. Well, we'll whack him. Doesn't matter if I've known you since you were 5 years old.
Yeah, you're the rat. Oh, well.
Yeah, you're a rat, and I don't want to die, so I'm going to kill you. And then he starts dabbling into the drugs because he went to prison, and that was a way to make money, but then he kind of gets to taking them. Mm-hmm. So now he's paranoid with that as well, so that amplifies it.
The change in the movie when you see him starting to do all the magic powder.
Yeah.
You can just see that tone that he has completely,
God.
like, He's losing it all.
I mean, they made him look so pale, sunken eyes. He was sweating all the time, chain smoking, looking for helicopters as they're driving down the road, and
Just
it's
freaking
just
out.
a great, great story. Goodfellas should have won the Oscar that year.
I don't. It's just hard to believe that doesn't win an Oscar.
When I was talking to him a minute ago, okay,
Fun fact.
I got two amazing facts here. Okay, this director, Martin Scorsese, the legend, the great, the almighty, 16 Oscar nominations for directing.
That's insane.
That's insane. You want to know how many times he's won? One. Once. One Oscar statue for this guy.
That's insane.
That's not right. That's unheard of.
He's got too many good ones.
Amount of great actors he's worked with the great material he's given all of us and the entertainment throughout the years, and to never miss a beat, to constantly stay on top like that, and to have one statue at home. Like, I know Oscars are hard to get. I get it. But do you know how many directors have multiples? You know, come on, man. It's like this is a travesty. But good, going back. I got off track.
It's true. It is very true. I
but
agree.
Goodfellas, I mean, it changed my life personally.
I mean, to see the whole prison scene.
Oh yeah.
For them to be able to control everything good and bad.
Yeah.
It was no joke. Whenever they had somewhere they wanted to be, the whole system was the mafia.
Yeah.
Like in prison, the guard is making sure he sells his drugs to other prisoners.
Yeah, he's watching them do it, and he's like, "All right, you good? We're done?
Yeah.
All right." Gets a tip for it.
Yeah, like $100. Slipped him $100.
Yeah. They didn't live like regular prisoners. They got to take what would be like a break room for the guards, and that would be transitioned to a giant bunk room for them to all have their own private beds.
The whole area.
They had their own kitchen in there. They had their own storage for food.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it really was. And for Martin Scorsese to capture that and really give it to the audience of like, it is such a awesome lifestyle in so many senses. But the fact that you don't know, and there's so many times during the movie where it happens, you don't know if you're going to make it to the next day.
No, you probably, loving that life, you probably expect it 90 days.
The amount of sneak up kills in that movie.
For like something small that they said.
Yeah. Or just
like,
fear that they're going to say it.
It's just like they have that much power and like paranoia mixed into one. It's a bad mix-up, and it shows like how quick it goes south.
It's not a good cocktail. No.
Not at all. Like the little kid that was working there when they had their little under table.
Spider. They called him Spider.
He said one thing. He talked back once. Was it 5 shots?
Oh, yeah. He emptied the clip on him. Yeah.
Rob De Niro's like,
what'd you do? And he's like, what? He's a rat. What? Like, it was nothing. He wanted to get back to playing cards.
Yeah. You know, my day.
No soul. No morals. No conscience. Just almost the most primitive way of living life is,
No means or anything.
It's just, but it's scary, but it's true. And we're going to revisit more on that with Martin doing these kind of movies.
Oh, yeah. Even his newest work. I mean, my next one, another one iconic with the same cast, Casino.
And there again, completely based on reality. Completely based on true stories.
And it shows you, like there's places like that, obviously the big cities and stuff, but someone wants what they want, that truly, they're going to do whatever they need to feed that inner.
The scariest thing, in my opinion, on earth is a man who fears no other man. A man who fears nothing.
Just goes after everything.
You see that in Joe Pesci in Casino. Okay? I was so excited after I had seen Goodfellas. I was so excited when I heard he was coming out with Casino. And I knew it was another mafia story. I knew it was all true stories. It was all stuff that actually happened. And I was giddy with excitement. I was a young kid, and I was still excited because I knew he was going to just make it so realistic that people still don't believe this mafia stuff was real. And I was like, no. They were running Vegas at one point.
And that's the crazy part, because that's where, at that time, all the money.
Yeah, if they're still not. See, that's the other thing. We still don't know if they're still running stuff or not. But you thought some of the kill scenes were bad in Goodfellas. Jeez Louise. The cornfield scene where him and his brother, Joe Pesci and his brother, get beat to death with baseball bats.
That's
buried half alive, still barely breathing, and they're showing it too.
Which is the crazy part.
I don't cringe much watching films.
But
I'm not easily scared. I'm not easily, queasy. Like, I watch tons of horror movies, but that scene in Casino, when they trick Joe Pesci into going out there with them, and come to find out they've got his brother, and they're about to kill them both, and you hear that metal bat just clink into the back of his brother's head, and they're holding Joe Pesci back, making him watch them beat his brother to death with baseball bats.
All because of...
And then they sit there and turn to him, and they start doing it to him. You can see the swings, you hear it. Of course, yeah, there's dummies there, but it's just the way they're showing it, like, bend the flesh and stuff. And the way Martin Scorsese showed that whole scene.
It's crazy.
Man, it would make you never want to cross a guy that might even somewhat have Italian blood in him.
Just because that's like...
Because you might know somebody that can dig a hole in a cornfield.
And get it done.
Yeah.
You don't want to take those risks, so... If you know, like, there's plenty of those people. We don't see them as often as, like, back then.
Yeah.
But that's something to fear is when a man has no fears.
Well, that's all right. I told you I was going to go off on this episode. I love Martin Scorsese. And
it's crazy.
He just hit 2 of my top 10 movies of all time that I watch consistently, and
especially Goodfellas. That one is.
Yeah.
I watch that one a lot.
But Casino always did it for me, just because it was the more vicious. And I'll argue that Joe Pesci was way more vicious in Casino than he ever was in Goodfellas. He had little man syndrome in Goodfellas. Okay, he was just short-tempered, short-fused. In Casino, he's ruthless. He walks around with his chest out. Doesn't need help. He does have no fucks to give. And it's scary because that was a real human being.
I did that.
That really did all that nasty shit. And to think Joe Pesci can encapsulate that character.
How?
And make you scared of a 5'5" Italian dude.
Yeah.
But I am. I'm scared to death of Joe Pesci. Even at his old age, I still think he could have me whacked. So
he can do what's necessary to get the job done.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
In every role he's done, no matter what you say.
Cuckoo.
Even in Home Alone, he's a crazy man in that one.
Yeah, that's another classic.
It is.
I wish Martin Scorsese would have done Home Alone. Might have gone out differently.
Completely different ending, alternate ending.
Completely different.
But my next one, again, no order. I have Gangs of New York. We've talked about this one before with Leo and blanking on his name.
Oh, God dang it! So am I. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes, those two, perfect for that movie.
Oh,
if anybody else got those roles, it would have been a terrible movie.
Yeah.
We see young Cameron Diaz before she had those movies.
She was very young.
Yeah, unfortunate. So.
She was probably the worst part of that movie.
Gangs of New York is good. I don't feel like it's a war movie. It's just like a turf war.
It's turf war.
So it's a completely different vibe from war
also
movies.
Based on reality.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
To show when America's first started, like there was no ground rules.
No.
It was just land.
Yeah.
It's like who's gonna conquer what land just to say they did, to get named after it or live there for 5 years before they died if they didn't fight.
You pay me taxes while you live here at my the 5 points as they called it.
It's just it's insane that's what they did. They're just there was no means to it, no point.
Excuse me.
Just
there was a point.
But there's no.
The natives didn't want the Irish and everybody coming in, to America. And so they greeted them with rocks and sticks and beat the shit out of them as soon as they came off the boats.
Yeah, understandable.
So it was turf war in the sense of natives, even though they weren't 100% natives. None of us are. Interesting note on Gangs of New York.
Okay, I'm here.
Leonardo DiCaprio only wanted to do it with Daniel Day-Lewis as Bill the Butcher.
I mean, that makes sense.
Daniel Day-Lewis, at that point in time in his career, was living in Italy as a shoemaker. And I'm not fucking kidding you right now. This is all true. You can start Googling, homeboys and girls.
Making shoes.
He was making shoes, a cobbler, if you will. And he was done with acting because he's more, theater method, and I can respect that because even up to that point, the dude had already solidified himself as a legend. This only made it even better. But Leo had to convince him. Mm-hmm. Martin Scorsese's like, okay, you got to convince him then. If you want him for Bill the Butcher, you get him. You reel him in, I got no problem with it. So Leo, tells me, can we meet? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yes. So Daniel Day-Lewis flies to New York to meet Leo to talk about the movie. And he says, I meet him. And so, can we take a walk in the park? And Leo's like, well, yeah, I mean, sure we can. He goes, they walked, he said, we walked around for like a half hour, never said a word to him. And then they finally sat down, talked for a few minutes, and then said, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
He just
strange fellow, but God, is he a good actor.
He does some good movies. It's hard to believe. We've talked about him before because we did a list, but man, he's got some big hits under his belt. It's going to be hard for somebody to top what he's done, especially now. I feel it's hard to find that kind of an actor.
In the small amount of work.
Very small. Handful.
Okay, this goes back to the whole, LeBron's better than MJ. Well, he's played for 40 fucking years. You better break records.
It's a little disappointing.
You've been there for a lifetime, dude.
This is true.
If you're there 3 times as long, you're going to win 3 times as many, well, he hadn't even done that. He's barely... Anyway. So it's the same thing, with Daniel Day-Lewis. How many Oscars? And it's so few movies. That's amazing. And I think that plays into how smart he is and how he can read. And he knew Leo was a good actor.
I mean, yeah, it shows.
Who doesn't know who Martin Scorsese is if you're in the industry?
Especially at this point.
And such a historic film. And we know that Daniel Day-Lewis loves historic films. He loves gritty characters. He loves that character work. Mm-hmm. Bill the Butcher is one of the just most devious, just want to punch right in the dick characters I've ever seen.
You don't like him.
No.
He's terrible. You hate him the whole time, and he does perfect to make you want to punch him.
When he starts doing his fake crying, he's like, oh. Now go kill him.
And it's just
it's just like, dude.
You're as dirty as the ground. It's like, what are you doing?
He's got the glass eye, and he's all playing with a knife, and, oh, man, yeah. Gangs of New York, man. That's a good one.
Leo basically showing as a kid that it's you don't want to go through that.
No.
And it's unfortunately a lot of kids were around in those England areas, and then when they got to the New Americas, and it's just didn't need to see all that at 6 years old.
No, they don't need to see people dying right in front of them, just murdered.
Because it just leads to that to continue.
Yeah, but I do love
insane.
The beginning of this movie. You've got Liam Neeson, who's only in it for a short bit, but God love him. Liam Neeson's great. And he's the father over all the Irishmen. And he's an actual father, of Christ. He's a padre. And, he goes out there and, priest, as they called him in the movie. And Daniel Day-Lewis's character winds up killing him. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert.
I mean, it's been around for 15 years.
First 5 minutes of the movie. Kills him. And, they bury him. Well, at the end of the movie, Daniel Day-Lewis's character winds up dying and gets buried right next to the priest. And I love it shows in that time period the 2 tombstones, and then it does that time-lapse thing. And it starts showing New York being built from the late 1800s, and it starts showing it be built up into modern day, and you can still see those two tombstones on the same hill right off the bridge in New York. And it just goes to show you how just true to history Martin Scorsese tries to keep that stuff when he's doing these movies.
It's this is what it was before it became what it is now. No, but
he's pretty cool, man.
He's so good at storytelling over time.
Yeah.
Again, going back to Goodfellas, the time periods he covers basically a whole man's life.
Yeah.
in a couple hours, but it shows like important aspects of every little part.
Yep.
He's just, you get lucky, like you said. There's those few who are just, they're lucky to get behind the camera and they're good at something.
Yeah, he's a good storyteller.
And it's just like, holy shit, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you come up with this? How does that mechanic gear get to kicking that kind of idea to put it on a camera?
And to be able to express to the actors what you need from them to get that across too. I mean, it's great directing. It's
insane.
To be able to get everybody on the same page in some of those scenes with, big scenes, multiple people, everybody on the same page to create that kind of magic. There again, going back to Goodfellas, we were watching the other day, and the scene where Henry Hill wakes up and his wife's sitting on top of him with the gun.
Loaded,
just right in his face. That scene right there with those two great actors, and I'm blanking on her name right now, and God forgive me, I so apologize because she's a phenomenal actress.
That whole scene
right there between those two is amazing.
Trying to convince her not to shoot him in the head. I
can only imagine Martin Scorsese getting a little director's heart on watching that behind the camera, like, oh, these guys are good. Like,
probably,
this is
knowing how crazy
magic. Like man, he draws the best out of people. He really does. And we're not even we're about halfway through the list, and we haven't even talked about
some good ones.
An eighth of his movies. This is insane.
I mean, the next one I'll toss out The Aviator.
Yeah.
Insane work.
There again.
Leo.
Based on a true story.
He likes those true, like, could happen, did or could happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it's happened or it's happening, we just don't know about it type of thing.
Well, I mean, there again, an eccentric, I don't know if he was a billionaire. I know he was a millionaire. Especially in that time period. Might as well have been a billionaire.
Yeah.
But
it's just...
Aviator was great. We didn't touch on it. I want to jump back real quick.
Go back, yeah.
Unless you wanted to dive into Aviator more.
No, go back real quick. We can see what you got.
Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a while, so very foggy in the movie, but...
It's such a suspenseful, such a jacked up movie. There again, went with De Niro. And took De Niro in a whole different direction where he's a psychotic intellectual, if you will.
Crazy.
Stalking somebody that put him in prison, start stalking his family, even when they're in witness protection, still coming after him. And it's such a good movie. I won't go too far into it. I know a lot of people probably have seen it. If you have not, one of the few great Nick Nolte movies, because Nick Nolte's a good actor, but this is one of the few where you really get it out of him. But I think that was because of Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro.
You gotta get...
De Niro is an utter creep in this movie, and he will just terrify you. But we hit Aviator. Where are we going next?
I mean,
Aviator I enjoyed. I mean, we got Leo playing a deranged, what was his name? Howard Hughes?
I think so.
Yeah, the eccentric millionaire that was trying to create these insane planes and everything, and he was just slowly going nuts.
Just to see that progress, though.
Yeah.
You had to portray that. Imagine trying to portray that.
Leo did it. And there again,
how?
Neither one of them got an Oscar for that, and I don't understand that. There again.
You get robbed. Yeah. I mean, these two are known for it the most. Leo and poor Martin Scorsese.
They probably really are. They probably argue about that left and right.
They're like, no, I got robbed more this year.
No, I lost more.
It shows, but we'll do another Leo one, surprisingly. The Departed.
Oh.
Make you want to watch a movie. It's how good it is. You don't want to miss a second. You want to get every single detail to put the puzzle together.
Because you have to.
Oh, but Martin Scorsese gets you so many times.
He does. Gets you right in the feels, man. He makes you think you got it figured out, and then he's all,
nope. You're like, what?
Ha ha ha.
Just kidding. You were
smart
wrong.
Little Italian dude. You don't know what's going on.
And it's just like, again, where do you come up with that such detailed mystery of who?
And this is the only movie that he got the Oscar for.
Out of all, it's still a good movie, but out of all of them, it's like
I love it.
Great
Don't
movie.
get me wrong. I'll watch it every day, just like I will. Fucking Christ, just about all these movies. But
if that gets an Oscar, how do the other ones not?
It's like, man. I mean, and I know there was probably some stiff competition with past and in the future movies that he made after this, but Christ Almighty, it is Martin Scorsese.
Like, he's just getting robbed.
He's a little Italian dude. Give him some. Give him something. He didn't get height, and he's got big old bushy eyebrows. You got to give him some Oscars. He's got to make up for that.
His Caterpillars finally won. I got an Oscar for The Departed.
But the cast in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Leo, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson. Are you kidding me? Wahlberg.
Who else is
Alec Baldwin's in it. Oh, man. Who else is in there? I know I'm going to miss a couple, and someone's going to say, what about him?
Well, they're going to remind me because I'm forgetting.
It was just such a good twist and turn movie. I love the soundtrack to it. You got, Dropkick Murphys playing some great Irish rock music. I love the Boston accents in there.
It's a good movie because you had a good director. When you have that good director, it's like you don't want to make mistakes. No. So you're putting on the A game. Like Wahlberg, it's like to see him act in this one. It's like, why can't you do that?
He was a good asshole in that one.
It's like, do this in some other movies. Like, it's just
because you're not a co-op. You're not a co-op.
Over the top.
You're no fucking co-op. Yeah, I love, and he was kind of over exaggerating it, I think, on purpose just to mess with.
But Matt Damon he's a little weasel in that one. We talk about it every time we watch in the living room when it comes on. It's like some people know how to play a role. He can play a weasel pretty damn good.
He's so good. Well, he's best friends with one in real life, so I mean,
yeah.
Maybe it rubbed off.
I suppose.
I don't know how that works.
But to see him, like you said, Wahlberg.
Do you get a contact high from Dickness? Like, yes. I don't know.
Did.
He did a great job in that movie. And Leo playing such a good little schizo because he's paranoid about being caught by the rats.
Ringing scene.
Oh.
Whenever Leo's got the dead man's phone and Matt Damon's calling him as they answering it, no one's saying anything. But it's like, you shouldn't have picked up. But it's like, you shouldn't have called.
Yeah, and then he clicks it and starts packing up and he runs out.
It's like, dude.
Yeah, that was such a good movie. And I mean, even up until the utter end, seconds before the credits rolled, you still didn't know everything that was going on. And literally the last thing you see is the final clue, the final little thing. And you're just like,
you gotta be kidding me.
Wow. And then you hear Pink Floyd, and then the credits roll, and you're like, oh, Martin, you got us again.
He's good. He's good there. Let's rewatch that one, too.
It is a good. And Jack Nicholson, that's probably one of my favorite movies he's done. I feel like watching that, he probably had the most fun of his career, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. He gets to play that kind of character.
Well, he just got to literally just play somebody who was just kind of halfway nuts, running a halfway mob. The scene where he's eating breakfast with Leonardo DiCaprio and he's asking him why he wants to join the club, join the mob with him and everything else, and da-da-da-da-da. And as he's talking, he's like, yeah, pulls out some dude's severed hand out of a plastic bag and starts just kind of looking at it, and Leo loses his words, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, is this bothering you?
And it's just like, how insane do you have to be to do that?
But yeah,
mid-conversation.
I could watch that movie every day. I never get tired of that one. This is such a good movie. I kind of want to go watch it right now.
It is tempting, I will say.
Got it on DVD.
Well, then there's the reason why the Oscar it's so damn good.
Yeah.
People still want to watch it this long after it's come out. But every now and then we get one of those, I guess. Another one of his that is like that is The Wolf of Wall Street, I would say.
Everybody liked that one. That's
very iconic. The memes, the memorable moments. The whole movie there's not a scene you don't remember.
Once again.
And it's 100% true. Even the guy who's based on it talks about how good the movie is.
Yes.
For the real person to go, yeah, that's exactly what happened, actually.
He was like, I didn't think they'd be able to capture that and make it. You're like, wow, yeah, cool.
Everybody.
The small people tossing. That they were doing in the movie, so and he was like, I didn't think they would actually use that. He was like, but we did actually do that. And it's like, holy shit.
Wall Street is terrible. I mean, you have the whole iconic entire conversation with Matthew McConaughey. The most iconic, one of the most iconic scenes is just his warm-up. And he's like, do something. He's like, well, I warm up with this.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just do that.
And then they go from there. It's crazy.
Starts talking about, how many times do you masturbate in a day? And he's like, maybe one. That's rookie numbers. Three times a day. And cocaine's your best friend. Like, it's like...
We're just having lunch. My first time meeting you. Don't know you at all. I've known you for, 2-3 minutes?
Yeah. Welcome to Wall Street.
But that whole conversation is just...
What did he say? This whole business, this whole industry is built on two things. Hookers and cocaine, my friend.
And here they are.
Thank you, McConaughey, for those words of wisdom on Wall Street.
It's like...
But I don't think they could have picked a better person to do that part.
No, it's like the last person you think to do that.
That's when I love Matthew McConaughey.
When he plays those funny...
Actors who know their roles, know their lane. It's like just...
It's awesome.
He could pop up in every other movie I watch and do little shit like that, and I'd be happy.
Yeah. And also, the best thing about one of his last scenes is the part where they see, like, they figured out the system. That's, like, the biggest oh shit moment. Like, that's what real people react with. They're like,
yep.
We just figured out how to steal money from people?
Yeah.
Like, it's that. And then
they did.
You see him just drop that phone and go, fuck.
Yeah.
And then they all just started. Like, it happened so out of nowhere. No one knew how they did it. They probably didn't know either.
No.
And they just... This many people were just getting millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Rich, poor, stealing from the rich to make the rich poor.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest backwards thing. And it's like, how did that work for so long?
Ass backwards Robin Hood. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, you have Leo's character, the real person, or the person it's based off of. The whole progress of him, how money instantly just makes you... If you do what they did where you steal it, it makes you a completely different animal.
Oh,
it's like, you shouldn't be acting like that.
No.
The drugs they did.
Him and Jonah.
The shit they did. Jonah Hill eating the goldfish, swallowing it.
I'm sorry. The scene where they were fighting in the kitchen because he wasn't supposed to be talking on the phone because it was tapped by the FBI. But they had already taken their Quaaludes, but there was like a time release. And so it hit them late. And Leo barely got home. He's all crawling in the door.
Oh, yeah, he's literally drooling. He drives.
Yeah.
And the guys talked about how that like whole thing was. And he's like, the movie explained it perfectly.
Yeah.
I looked at the steps and it was 1 million. Then I got down and it was 4.
It was 4.
It's like...
He's all looking back at it like, what the fuck?
That happened? And you just... The way he made his face all droopy. It's like... It makes you wonder, Leo, did they give you that drug?
Well, you know, he is a method actor. You never know.
They probably did.
Now, touching back on something I said earlier with Raging Bull, how Scorsese likes to talk people into taking a real punch to make it look good.
Oh, yeah. It makes you do the same.
Yeah. Jonah Hill's got a story about how that happened in this movie.
Yep.
And it was the infamous scene where they're trying to figure out how to get their money to Switzerland to put it in a Swiss account and get it out of the country so it wasn't going to get found. And they start taping the money to Berthol's character's girlfriend, and Jonah Hill's like, you know, well, my money's taped to your tits, so you do kind of work for me right now, and it pisses off
John Berthel.
Yeah.
Oh,
he plays his character's name, but he plays a tough guy.
Oh, he's angry. Yeah.
And so he gets pissed off at Jonah Hill's character. He's supposed to punch him. They do the take several times. It doesn't look right, and of course,
Martin Scorsese.
He's like, you know, hey kid, how would you feel about like taking that punch for real?
Yeah.
Jonah Hill has been quoted in saying, I turned to go look at Leo for help, and Leo's doing this.
Figure it out,
and he's looking around, and he's like, shit. And he goes, I look back over to John Berthol, and he's a method actor. And he goes, and he's pacing behind the couch like, ooh, I'm going to get to hit this guy for real.
And it's like, what the?
Ooh, and that's the punch you see in the movie. It's the real punch. Clearly, it only needed one take.
But it just shows you how Scorsese gets you involved. You're that character.
But he's so good. Jonah Hill was quoted even saying, this is Martin Scorsese. I'm not going to say no.
No.
You're going to hit me in the face, and I'm just going to cry like a bitch about it afterwards if it hurts that bad. But
shit, I guess, dude, hit me.
Just come on.
I mean... Was it? But he did get his get back on Leo later on. That's a scene where he's eating the salmon. And he kept messing up on purpose so that way he had to keep eating it. He said he took 35 takes.
Of eating nothing but sushi. It's like, oh, God.
And he said Leo was just throwing up. It's like, yeah, that's unhealthy amount of raw fish.
Yeah, even if it was cooked fish.
That's still...
You're taking full bites 35 times in a row. Dude, yeah.
Anything, like any meat, because it's like, that's too much.
I don't know if it was a steak. I might be okay.
A steak would be okay, but I mean, it is raw, so it's like, that's even more primal. So that just messes him up, and it's like, well, it was worth it to get hit.
No, thank you. I'm good. No, thank you.
That's a good way to just build a reputation, I guess.
I've only got 2 left. I don't know which one you want to touch on first. We probably got the same 2.
I have 3.
You got 3?
Yeah. I guess I know we both have Shutter Island. We've talked about this one a lot in one of the previous episode.
Oh.
Just touch back on that. It is a mind twist of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Scorsese loves just to get your gears turning.
He wants you to pay attention to his movie.
Yeah, and he does it well.
He's very good at it.
Very, very good. But we talked about it in that one episode in detail, how great it was just to like see how one character, you're walking through his emotions and how twisted his mind is.
Yeah.
And at the end, you kick in reality. Mark Ruffalo's like, he's not getting better. He's just a crazy patient who's done bad things, going crazy more and more every single day, building up this fake reality around him.
Yeah. Once again, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Playing the crazy and somehow not winning an Oscar.
Jesus. Yeah, I know. We need to do like a whole episode on just Leo, I feel like.
Getting robbed.
Just to vindicate.
How bad he got screwed.
Yeah, in all honesty.
The only thing bad is just his taste of women. He only dates some 24-year-olds for some reason.
Yeah.
He's a strange fellow.
He wants to be forever young.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I guess you also have The Irishman.
That's the last one I've got. It's The Irishman, because that was the last Scorsese film I've seen. Haven't watched his last one he came out with. I just haven't had time to yet. A lot of things going on, but I found time to make 3.5 hours out of my day to watch The Irishman, because that was one long ass movie.
The ending's awesome too.
But it is so good.
It's so worth to get to that ending.
Yeah.
Where De Niro's just sitting there, just tell us what happened. He's the last person who knows everything. No.
Yep.
I'm okay.
And that's just, I love that, because that's total De Niro. Like, I'd see him doing that.
Like,
you know?
no.
I'm not gonna tell you a thing.
How did he make the movies? No.
It's a little upset. No. I love how they were able to, by that point, use a little bit of the new technology to do the, de-aging.
Yeah, it helped. It definitely did.
And it was cool to see a young De Niro in the beginning and all that,
And then get back to where
it was kind of cool to see that. But, I mean, The Irishman, I don't know how he didn't get an Oscar for that one.
No,
I really don't, because I remember watching the Oscars that year, and I'm sorry.
How?
That should have won. I don't get that. There again, it's got to be rigged.
Oh, it's definitely rigged.
Kidding me?
But The Irishman is such a great story. Again, perfectly depicts a dying mafia.
Yeah.
And everybody, like, you couldn't figure out how to continue, and now all these paranoid men are all dying off. It's like, what do we do now?
What do we do?
Kill each other some more, I guess.
Yeah, just keep the trend going. Why not?
But it shows it's like they're beaten down, they're rusty.
Yeah.
And it's caught up to them.
It did,
It's what now?
But, they got some Golden Globes for it, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's what they cut.
They just didn't pull it off and get the big dogs on that one with the Oscars, but...
No.
Oscars are finicky. I don't know. I think they've kind of, over the last few years, tried to lean too much towards the indie shit. I like indie films, don't get me wrong. I think that's how a lot of great people start, but... Not
fake indie films, those are...
You get too artistic about it, and it's like, now you're just hitting a certain demographic.
Of weird. There's some movies, it's like they try to be too bizarre, and it's like it doesn't make sense whatsoever.
No.
But it's okay. We got the good stuff that we needed in the past.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get some better stuff soon.
Movies.
So. Anybody who's a big movie goer, these past few years, it's been tricky. You'll get at 1 or 2 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But people are trying to copy other people, and it's not good.
It's not good.
Remakes that don't even be remade.
No original ideas.
That's a trend that's going around.
Although I am looking forward to, in 2025, I think they said it might come out in 2026. They just started the filming.
Which one?
He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, baby.
I haven't seen that news.
So. We need to get on the bandwagon, buddy. Because, the last time I got a live action He-Man was with Dolph Lundgren in his prime. And let's just say that was quite some time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah, shut your dirty mouth.
But we need some good movies, and I think here soon we're getting that more and more.
It's picking up. It's definitely picking up.
People are realizing, oh, we can make good movies. Yeah.
Wow, we have ideas. Our own ideas.
I mean, the last one I had on here was one of his first movies, The Last Temptation of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched it. I prefer The Passion of the Christ. But I have heard about this. This is Willem Dafoe's big start, really.
Yeah.
Pretty good way to start playing Jesus Christ. Pretty good character.
I mean, if you're going to do it,
go with the best there is.
Let's just go ahead and start off with it.
But apparently he does it really good. I think they do translate a lot of it to English, I think.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Just because knowing Scorsese, how he goes from language.
Yeah.
Like, he'll let you get a little bit of both so you can understand parts of it.
Well, it kind of helps, you know.
Yeah. But
keep it grounded.
I mean, obviously, The Last Temptation, it's all the way up until he's crucified. I mean, it's like The Passion of Christ, just different order of telling it, I suppose. Different actors.
Everybody's got their own vision, their own interpretation to some extent. So
for us, I mean, the people who do believe it, the Bible, I mean, it's exactly what they wrote. So I mean, at least we know it's can't get it wrong.
I would hope not.
But that's all of Scorsese that I have.
Yeah.
Oh, I enjoyed this one. This one was definitely.
I had fun going off on a few of those.
It's a fun little. It's basically just different versions of Mafia. But hey, it works.
Yeah.
It works.
A lot of reality based, a lot of De Niro.
And Leo.
You got some Pesci sprinkled in there, like some Old Bay seasoning on some crab. Lots of Leo. But they're again great directors. They're gonna lean towards great actors, and great actors are gonna lean towards great directors. And it sucks when some don't click because you have these dream visions, like what if this actor worked with this director? So sometimes it just doesn't work.
They gotta, like, we can't force them to be good together. It's gotta be a bond that you gotta form with an actor.
But damn, when it works,
it works.
It works very well. And
can't complain.
Scorsese mixed with De Niro, mixed with Leo, seems to be magic every time.
Exactly. So you know nothing bad is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because when you work together that much, you build, like, you know how to work a vision together.
Yeah.
You know how to put it together. Like, you're 99% right, but imagine we added this. Oh shit, that's perfect. Okay, cool. Let's put it in the movie. But that's the fun thing about directors. I think for episode 30, we're gonna do a surprise special, little mini special.
Yeah.
We'll figure out that more and more next couple of days, and then after that, either new series or get back to the directors, whichever one.
Yeah.
Whichever one we feel like. Any comments? What y'all are looking to hear? Anything like that? We're open to suggestions. We like to talk, so if you want to hear sports, shows, movies, anything, martial arts, all the genres, we're more than capable of talking about that.
Anything. I am full of useless information.
There you go. Agreed. But that's going to cut it for episode 29 of the Future Podcast.
Yeah.
I hope y'all enjoyed. Have a good rest of your morning, your afternoon, and your evening. And we'll catch you in episode 30.